Eat spaghetti, no regretty. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jasmine McDonald, and if you're new here, I post ballet and fitness related videos every single Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And if you're also new, you may as well hit subscribe. Now, I have a feeling you guys like these kinds of videos, these kinds of sit down, story time / get ready with me videos. So that's what we're doing today. Let me just check that, yeah, this is recording. Because my camera has not been cooperating lately. Sorry if every once in a while I just kind of look off screen and look like I'm totally spaced out. I promise I'm not. I am just checking that the camera doesn't not work. But like I said, I think you guys like these kinds of videos where I just sit down and talk and tell you stories. The last video that I posted like this, I was talking about my experience as a professional ballerina and ultimately why I left. So if you want to watch that video, go ahead and do that. You can go ahead and click the link up here or the description box. But today I thought I would share something a little bit more lighthearted since the last video was like low-key kind of deep and dark. But like I said, I wanted to show and share something lighthearted. So I was going to talk about all the things that I did that were really embarrassing, like ballet fails, if you will. So let's get into it. I absolutely love these little clips. It's so helpful and handy when I'm doing my makeup to not get my hair in the way. I got these from Urban Decay. They're so cute. But like I said, we're going to talk about embarrassing things that have happened to me. So let's go way back. Now, this video in particular, I'll have to put somewhere over here because it went viral on TikTok where I completely fell on stage out of an elbow stand. We were supposed to do an elbow stand. For those of you who don't know, you probably guessed that I'm a former professional ballerina, but I was also a competitive dancer. So that means that I went on stage and I competed with my team, the dances that we rehearsed all year, and we put so much time and effort and hard work into our dances, all for me to fail my entire team. No, just kidding, but not actually. But basically we were doing this acro routine and you can tell throughout the video that I'm already pretty tired. I don't know if I didn't have enough to eat beforehand or if I was just like tired, but I'm like behind in the music the whole entire time, going from one of the big tricks. We did like one of those cartwheels where you put your hand on everybody's shoulder. It's like a big line of like 10 people doing a cartwheel in unison, and I'm behind in that. I'm behind in the back bend bridge. I'm behind in the jump, the seesaw that goes to the floor, into the elbow stand that goes, I think, double stag, straight knee, worm down, but I did not worm. Guys, I fell flat on my back. And it's so embarrassing. This happened on stage, especially now as a dance teacher. Whenever things like that happen on stage, the only reaction you can do as a dance teacher is like, because like I said, it's all that time, all that effort, all that work, all that energy for that to happen on stage. And you know what? Mistakes happen. But oh my gosh, that was a really embarrassing mistake. The next embarrassing mistake I also have a video of. I'll have to find it. But I was doing my solo at a competition and I put my hand down during a Pointe. I think I've told you guys that before. That one wasn't as bad because it was a solo. It was pretty obvious though, because in a solo, who are you watching? You're watching the one person. So it was a little bit embarrassing, but then again, it was not super embarrassing because I just kind of put my hand down and put it back up. Like it could have been part of it. It could have been a mistake. If you're anybody that knows ballet at all, you definitely know that that wasn't part of it. So yeah, that happened. Fast forward a little bit because let's be real, my whole preteens and teens were just embarrassing enough as is. But the next embarrassing thing that happened, particularly in class or on stage, happened when, if this kind of stuff doesn't float your boat, go ahead and click ahead because I'm going to be talking about menstrual cycles and periods. I got my period during class and that was, I mean, I shouldn't even say it's embarrassing because it happens and it's not embarrassing at all, but I can just go from my experience. I was so embarrassed in the moment because it was in a partnering class where there were guys there too. And I was personally embarrassed. There's nothing to be embarrassed about because it is literally a human bodily function, totally normal. It happens to everybody. But yeah, that happened during a partnering class in one of my first. And I remember, I think I just spent the rest of the class in the bathroom because I was freaking out because I was like, this is not okay. Amp flows early. Yeah, so that happened. That happened a couple of times. I'm not gonna lie. That happened like more than I'd like to admit. And like I said, it's nothing to be embarrassed about, nothing to be ashamed of. It's gonna happen. It's whatever. Now that I'm older, I'm like, who cares? who honestly cares? It's not that big of a deal. But you know, when you're younger, you just think so much about what everybody's gonna think of you, and you're so worried about these kinds of things. So that was definitely up there at the time. Now that I look back, I'm like, whatever, this is just another Tuesday. But anyways, moving forward, as I'm in grade 11, I was casted for the first time in like a pretty significant, actually I think I was grade 10. Was I grade 10 or 11? I think I was grade 11, and I was casted in a significant part when I was in school, and I was so excited. And this part in particular, it wasn't like actually classical ballet where you have a part. It was just like part that I had in this routine. I was kind of front and center, and I was so excited because all of my years in ballet school, I detailed in the last video, I kind of struggled with the fact that I was really behind from everybody else. You know, I was never the person that was the strongest in the class. In fact, I didn't get into the ballet school for years. It took try after try after tryout, and it also took a lot of hard work and determination and improving a lot. So yeah, I was definitely behind. So when I got casted, I was so excited, also really nervous, but practices were going well, rehearsals were going great, everything was going fine. It wasn't until the actual show, where it's being live streamed to Germany, or was it Amsterdam? I forget, but it was being live streamed to another country. So there were thousands of people watching, including the people in the theater right in front of me, and I could see them. So I'm doing a piqué on my left foot with my right foot coming up to an dégagé enveloppé through a tiré, closing through fifth. So I'm going swimming and down, and then a little move to turn around. And basically I'm supposed to do that to the front, plie, turn to the back. But as I did a piqué, I guess my new shoes were very new, very slippery. I slide and I fall on my butt, and then it's just like time stops in that moment. Time stops, but also time goes on. You know what I mean? So time stops, I'm on my butt. I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? This is so embarrassing. I'm in the front. This is my one moment to show people that I can, you know, hang with the rest of my group and be casted in things and not embarrass myself. So I'm on my butt right front center. So I just get up and pretend like it didn't happen. And it was fine. It wasn't like my most shining moment, I will say that. But like I said, mistakes like that happen, not a big deal. The purpose of this video really, guys, is just to make yourself feel better, because it happens to the best of us. It happens to everybody. These kinds of things just happen. And like I said, this is supposed to be a very lighthearted, fun video where I just pretty much expose myself. But yeah, that happened. That was probably the one singular most embarrassing thing that happened in school when it comes to performances. Believe me, there's a lot more embarrassing things out there, such as when I actually posted a video on YouTube about Hamlet, reenacting Hamlet, because it was part of our project. And me and my best friend were recording it, and we thought it would be so funny. This is not ballet related, by the way, but we thought it would be so funny for the battle scene rather than us acting the battle scene, because we're just like two cute little girls. We thought it'd be funny to put the Star Wars Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader battle scene. Yeah. I can't post that for copyright reasons. Funny, because I had that on my YouTube channel before I even decided to do social media, and nothing happened because I wasn't monetized. And then all of a sudden, when I started taking things seriously, they're like, oh, this one video has a copyright strike and like you have to take it down. And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't remember posting in 2012. Oh yeah, that. So yeah, I can't really post that video anymore, but you can just imagine it. It's pretty funny. But anyways, yeah, life goes on, and so do embarrassing moments. Fast forward to when I'm a professional. This isn't really an embarrassing moment, but I guess it's just a learning lesson. And the lesson is this, friends. If your mother is offering you a trip to Hawaii, take it, because she offered me a trip to Hawaii and I was gonna go. And then one of the ballet companies that was my dream ballet company posted that their audition was on the same day that my mom's plane was booked. What do you think I did, guys? Do you think I went to Hawaii, or do you think I stayed around for this audition? Oh yeah, I stayed around for this audition. Even though the fact that I felt like my foot was falling off, I was so injured, I was like, guys, it's fine. And you know what ended up happening? I had a stress fracture, but I did the audition anyways. Also, learning lesson there, do not push yourself past the point of pain, because in the end, I ended up having to take most of the year off because I pushed myself far too much. And that was a big learning lesson for me, because I could have just taken the time off, gone to Hawaii, healed for 6 weeks and come back stronger. But no, I decided to push myself and do a bunch of auditions and then take 6 weeks off, come back, realize it's not enough time and my foot still hurts. Have to put a boot on, like a walking boot, for 8 weeks. went to prom in a walking boot, and then I came back and I still had pain. So yeah, lesson learned, if you feel like you're in pain, don't push yourself. And if your mom is offering you a trip to Hawaii, go. Because I didn't even get the audition anyways. They didn't even say that they were interested in me, because that company the year before, they had basically given me a letter saying like, we're really interested in you. We can maybe give you a spot next year, but you're just not ready yet. So stay a little bit longer. And I did that. And then the next year I was hoping to get in, and they didn't even look at me really. So that was unfortunate. But you know what? It's fine. It added to the story. It added to the plot. So fast forward to when I'm a professional dancer. This is when the stories are going to get juicy, because this is when I mess up the most. So basically, the first time I messed up on stage, I'm trying to think, I don't think that I messed up that much in my first year. Oh no, I did. So if you guys have watched Don Quixote at all, you know that psychedelia and a lot of the other variations on parts have fans. And I have this fan, pretend this is my fan, and I'm front center once again. I'm so excited because I was put front center for this. I'm doing these chaîné turns, and then I'm supposed to do a tendu and flick the fan open. And as I flick the fan open on stage during the dress rehearsal, thank goodness, because if this was during the show in my first year, during the dress rehearsal, people could laugh. During the show, maybe people couldn't. But anyways, it happened during the dress rehearsal, and I think that was a good thing, because this is what happened. I flicked the fan open and silence. And then as soon as we're about to bow, I just go and take it off stage. The smart thing to do would have been either leave it or kick it off, but no, I went and I grabbed it, which is fine. People had a laugh. People could tee-hee about it because it didn't happen during a show. But what did happen during a show, during Swan Lake, was that my whole shoe fell off, guys. My whole shoe fell off. I cannot believe that this happened. I wish I had this in video, but basically the elastic not only was failing me, but it completely popped off. Like, I don't know if I didn't sew it well enough, but essentially this elastic had just completely popped off the shoe. And the shoe, if you guys don't know Pointe shoes, basically I personally double cross my elastics, and that just makes it more secure. So I even had these double crossed, and they were like this. Both of the back elastics popped off. So it was just the ribbons holding on. So my heel started to pop off. So I was basically not wearing a Pointe shoe. It was very scary. And it was in the very first step of Act 2 of Swan Lake, which is a jump. So I do step, hop, run, 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 step, hop, run, 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 run. And it's just step hops the entirety of the first part of Act 2 when the swans start to come on in their little line. And then I'm doing all these jumps, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my shoe's basically off. I'm barely going on point because my shoe's barely off or barely on. But then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm one of the lucky ones. And you know why? For whatever reason in this choreography, I think I was truly blessed in this moment. I got to go off stage for like 10 seconds. And when I went off stage, other people saw that this had happened, and they passed me a safety pin. I was so lucky because other people saw this happen, and I was holding my pose off stage, and I saw them running, and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe they're gonna help me, maybe they're gonna be my saviors. And they were. So when I got off stage, I was able to safety pin the back of the heel of the shoe. I could continue. And then for Act 3, I wasn't dancing in that show, thankfully. Not thankfully, but yeah, thankfully in this case. I wasn't dancing, thankfully, so I could sew the shoes before going on for Act 4. And that never happened again, believe me. That really never happened again. I was so mortified. It wasn't as embarrassing as it was scary. I was just like scared for my life. And the funniest thing is that I was in the very back. Like, I was the second last girl in the line of swans. So when I asked people if they noticed, people on the side definitely did, because they were right beside me, like in the side of the wings. But the director didn't notice, the teacher didn't notice, nobody noticed, because I was just very far in the back, which is fine, you know, but learning lesson, make sure your shoes are adequately prepared before going on stage, and that the elastics aren't about to pop off. So that happened. Another really embarrassing thing that happened was also my first year being a professional ballerina. I was practicing La Bayadere with the fans, the fan dance. You have your arms straight out, you're doing all these chugs in an arabesque, and everybody else leaves the rehearsal because it's lunchtime. And I'm like, you know what? I just want to practice it one more time just to really solidify the correction that I just got. So being the good, studious person that I am, I'm practicing, everybody else is going on their lunch. It's pretty quiet. And then all of a sudden you just hear thump, like the loudest thump, the most visceral bodily thump that you can ever hear. And then everybody in the theater looks over, and I'm on my face. I face planted. I completely am like this. Not only did I bruise my cheek, I bruised my ribs, I bruised my knee. It was a bad fall, guys. Like, it was just, you know, one of those falls where your foot completely comes out from underneath you and you don't have time to react because it's so slippery, and you just fling yourself because you're basically already shooting yourself forward in these chugs. So I have the momentum and the energy. I was in so much pain the next day. Thankfully, the person that saw it, the director, like, he saw the tears go in my eyes because it's one of those falls where like your throat chokes up, your eyes go red. He was rehearsing me the next day, and he didn't make me go on my knee for rehearsals because for the next day, it was the Don Q rehearsals because we had 2 shows going on the same week. And I was on my knees for most of it, like kneeling and, you know, doing all these things. And he saw me like in the back, like whimpering. I was like, oh my God, I'm in so much pain. So he came up to me, he's like, just stand up. It's okay. I saw your fall yesterday. So he was there for me. He was very supportive. I loved him. He was one of my favorite teachers. So yeah, fast forward a little bit. Fast forward to the second year. One of my best friends now joins the company at this time, and we're partners. It was such a vibe. We were like destined to be best friends because we're also dance partners. And tell me why during this we like shared the same brain cell. We were doing our balances in the circle of Act 1 Swan Lake, and we had been working on them during rehearsals so much. The artistic director and the teacher were being really hard on us because it was his first time doing this. It was like his first week there pretty much. Actually, it wasn't his first week because he had been there for a little while, but it was his first week doing Swan Lake. They were being really hard on us, drilling us in with the choreography, and he was being great. He was picking it up. It's just, you know, when you're the first person, you're the newest person, I guess, and it's your first time, they're just extra hard on you. So we had been practicing, and we had gotten it. We were solidified. We were on stage. Everything was going fine. We already did dress rehearsal. We already did a bunch of shows at this point. So we were like really comfortable with it. And tell me why the 2 of us shared the same brain cell in this moment. We're doing our balance, and after like 6 or 8 balances, we're supposed to do this giant like press lift. But tell me why we both like blanked out and just stared at each other. We're like, neither of us went to do the lift. Neither of us went to do the turn. We just stood there, front center of the stage, stood there. We both blanked. And then we got off stage after and we're like, what was that? What was that? Ah, it was so weird. The funniest part was we asked our artistic director at the end, like, did you notice? He was like, no, you shouldn't have told me anything because I didn't notice anything. And we're like, oh, thank goodness, because that was embarrassing. Everybody else noticed, but yeah, I don't know, because it was more noticeable because everybody, it wasn't just us on stage, but everybody who was on stage, it was like 12 other couples, maybe 12 couples in total. We were doing the exact same thing in sync, and we were just the only ones just staring at each other and like, and then we continued. It was just like the biggest brain fart ever. That was one of the most embarrassing things, but it was a funny story to tell now. Not as funny then because we were nervous that we were gonna get in trouble, but we didn't. One time we did get in trouble. Oh my goodness. This one time we did get in trouble because what happened was it wasn't actually really our fault, says every person who ever messed up ever, but it truly wasn't because we were doing Leotard, the scarf scene, and we run off stage, and then like, I don't know, one of the main guys like claps, and then we come back on stage because basically we're like servants. Come back on stage, but we miss our cue to go back on stage because I guess the orchestra like sounded weird, and somebody else backstage is usually counting us in, who's the first person, and she's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's go. And she's like, no, I think they just skipped our part to run on stage. So then the guy who's like clapping us on, we're in the corner like waiting, like, oh, this is a really long score. Maybe they extended the music. Turns out the maestro had actually skipped a whole section of the music. So the guy's clapping, trying to rectify that situation. And we're just standing there and he's like, trying to clap us on. And it's like that poor guy. Can you just imagine? He's going, and nobody's coming on, like nobody's listening. So then I guess they just like improv'd a whole section because we just didn't go on stage. We missed our entire cue. We missed it. And the next day they were not happy with us. The director wrote and singled us out by name. Like all 10 of us were singled out by name. I think it was actually 12 because there was 2 soloists and 5 girls on each side. So yeah, 12 of us. We were singled out by name, and we were told that we owe everybody in the theater an apology because it was an embarrassment to the entire theater and it totally ruined the show, even though it was only like a minute out of 3 hours of a show. But you know what? Minutes like that can make a huge difference. So we apologized and I was mortified. Especially, I feel like that was a little unfair because what am I gonna do? I'm in the back of the line going on stage last. So what am I gonna do? Be like, okay, I'm gonna go on by myself. No, you always follow the person in front of you. Rule of thumb, if somebody in front of you is off time, be with the other person in front if everybody else is following that, because as long as you're in unison, it's gonna look good. But if you're like, I'm right, I'm gonna follow the cue, I'm gonna do it by myself, you're gonna look singled out. So it's better to match everybody. So I don't know, I feel like calling us out individually, I mean, we are a team, so I don't want to say like call it the one person in the front, obviously, because it wasn't also their fault. It was just a mess up, and mess ups happen. You move on, right? So yeah, that's that. That was probably the actual biggest mistake of my career, I will say. Otherwise, other mistakes probably just include like, one of them is actually really funny. I was gonna say missing like a cue slightly or like being slightly off time, but one of them is actually pretty funny now that I think of it. So during Swan Lake, I remember thinking one day like, oh wait, I thought it was this arm that goes forward, and it should never be this arm because then you're smelling your arm. And I remember it was like da 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 da, switch the arms and switch the arms, da 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 da. It's supposed to be that, but I was going ba da da ba da da da, same arm, same arm. And I guess one day I noticed in front of me during rehearsal, I've been doing this ballet for like 4 years at this point. I noticed that one of the girls in front of me is doing opposite arm as me. And I go up to one of the teachers and I was like, oh, question, I think she's doing this arm wrong. She's like, no, it's always been that one. And I was like, are you sure it's not this one? Because that's the way I've been doing it for like 4 years. And she's like, you have? And I was like, uh-huh. And she was like, well, then you're wrong. So I was like, oh, so I've been doing it wrong for like 4 years and wrong. So I went back and I checked the videos, and yeah, I've been doing it wrong. But then we both learned. So it ended up being all right and okay and fine. But like I said in the beginning or the middle of this video, the purpose of this video was to highlight times where things aren't always perfect, because mistakes do happen and you shouldn't feel bad about them. Just try better next time to not let them happen again. Mistakes are definitely for learning, you know? Don't wallow in your mistakes. That's not gonna help anybody and help anything. You know, if you need to apologize because the director singles you out in front of the entire company and 11 other people, then yeah, I guess that's what you're supposed to do. But at the same time, like, don't sweat it too much. Just learn from the mistakes, and now you know they're learning opportunities. But that's that for today. I definitely have more stories, so let me know if you want a part 2, and I can definitely share some more embarrassing moments. I just have to think harder about it and write them down, because those are the ones that come to the top of my head, and I definitely have more. But like I said, have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, happy dancing, and until next time, bye now.